Hey detailers, podcast sponsor Joe here from Autofiber Australia. As pro detailers, we are all about using the highest quality products for our customers when it comes to compounds, chemicals, and ceramic coatings. But what about microfiber? Are you using cheap towels that get used once and then tossed into the bin? You need to try out our amazing Autofiber range of microfiber. Seriously, it is the best stuff going around. Use our exclusive podcast code 15DDUP and get 15% off when you purchase any of our premium Korean or Chinese made microfiber. We have a wide range of products that are tailor-made to last a long haul, so you get the best value for money and your customers will appreciate it. Go to autofiber.com.au or find us on Instagram to make your purchase and check out our range. Now back to the podcast.
Welcome to the Detailing Down Under podcast, the place for everything auto detailing in Australia right now. Here's your host, Dale Guthrie.
G'day and welcome to the Detailing Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Dale Guthrie, back again. Once again and into it. So how are we all? And I hope everyone is busy. So obviously last fortnight episode was a good one. So yeah, I hope you all got a little bit out of that as well. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you're also looking to come on the pod as well. So I'm always looking for guests, but getting to towards the end of the year, I am starting to get a little bit booked out as well. So but we'll if not, we can also do it early next year. So, but yeah, other than that, not much else been happening with me. So I got a good bloke on here today. So we're heading towards Hervey Bay, of all places. Beautiful spot in Queensland. So welcome Sid from Intensity Car Detailing. Afternoon, mate. How you going?
Good, Dal. Thanks, mate. Thank you for having me on the show.
That's no dramas at all, mate. How's beautiful Hervey Bay going today?
Yeah, it's beautiful, mate. It's yeah, nice and warm and a bit windy, but that's been the case for the past month. But yeah, no, it's a little bit of paradise, but I can't complain. I really can't complain.
No, it's a beautiful area up there. I know that. So haven't been there for a while, but I definitely know. So a lot of good surrounding areas. So, but yeah, we'll get into it. So looking at your Instagram, it says you got 28 years of experience. So you haven't just appeared overnight.
Yeah, no, I've it's actually more than 28. I probably haven't updated that for a few years.
Wow.
I actually sat down the other night and I was thinking about it and I was like, wow, I've actually been detailing for 37 years.
Jesus.
So which makes me pretty old. So I as much as I'm a dinosaur, I do try to keep up with all the modern stuff and
all the kids.
Yeah, and you know, detailing, you never stop learning, mate. That's one thing. You're always learning stuff, and your podcast is a perfect example because there'll be things on there, and I'll go, oh, I never knew that, or geez, I might try that, or I might try that product or whatever. And anyway, yeah. But I started my first detailing job while I was 15 in Scotland, so still at school. The old man had a mate who. He used to buy all his cars from and at a dealership or a car yard. And the old man got pissed off with me one day and said, right, you need to go out and get a part-time job, teaching me a life lesson. And yeah, I used to go down to this car yard on a Saturday morning, middle of winter, minus 15 degrees, and wash cars, having to crack the ice in the bucket.
Wash the ice off them.
Yeah. And we had this, the owner used to give me this can of like an aerosol can, and I used to have to go around all the cars and spray the ignition key, the locks on the door so that you could actually unlock because they were all frozen. Yeah, so that was, I guess, my first introduction to detailing, but I was more of a car washer than a detailer, you know.
Yeah.
But my first proper job was when I moved to Australia in '86, and I think about '88, I got a job at a Toyota dealership as a detailer, just doing new cars.
Yep.
And doing the old Ming and the True Seal. Remember the old paint protection stuff back then?
Oh, probably a little bit before my time.
Oh, okay. I'm showing my age. I'm sure some of the listeners might remember Ming. It
I
was
bet.
crap. I mean, it was horrible stuff. But yeah, I used to do that, and the rust proofing and stuff like that. So yeah,
I remember the rust proofing. So we used to do that in the
yeah,
panel shops. I remember that. So
yeah. Whether it worked, I've got no idea.
no,
But anyway,
they were Ford, so I'm not going to go there too much. But
no.
whereabouts in Australia did you first set up shop?
Moved to Melbourne
Oh yeah,
and worked for a Toyota dealership in Footscray.
yep,
So that was that was I was there for a few years. And, I only moved to Hervey Bay 8 years ago, so most of my time was in Victoria, and just detailing, and always been sort of in the industry at some point. I worked for when I worked for the Toyota dealership, they used to have a rep that used to come around selling you the chemicals, so a bit like AutoSmart
yep.
is nowadays, but it was a smaller company called Gill and Polish, which I'm guessing most people wouldn't remember. Maybe a few of the really old heads would go, and oh yeah, I remember them.
Yeah.
And he'd come around in his little 3-ton truck and give us the degreaser and all the other stuff we used to use, and tire shine. And he was actually the first bloke that introduced me to a polisher, a rotary polisher. Because we were trying to get a scratch out of a car by hand because none of us knew how to buff. And he said, "Hang on a minute, I've got a buffer in the truck. I'll show you how to use it." And yeah, he got the scratch out, and we were all like, "Wow, that's amazing! I got to get one." And we convinced the boss to buy one. And I mean, this is back in the days of the tie-on lamb's wool buff pads.
Yep.
That's prehistoric. That is.
Big 9-inch sort of size, massive ones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It didn't have a variable speed. It was just like flat out or nothing.
Mm.
And don't use any more than 3 seconds or you'll take the paint off. And yeah, he was a really good guy. He taught me to, he spent a fair bit more time than what he probably should have, but taught me how to buff, and then switched over. Forekla started to come on the stage.
Mm.
And yeah, I used Forekla for many, many years. And yeah, just that was my intro to, machine, or to, buffing. And then just went to a couple other dealerships. And well, before I actually went to another dealership, the sales rep told me that he was quitting his job, and he was going back to being a spray painter. And he said, "Oh, you should apply for the job." And I didn't. And I went to detail for another company, and then the job came up again. I seen it in the paper, and I thought, I wouldn't mind being a sales rep. I'm getting a bit sick of detailing just, new car day after day after day.
Mm.
And so I applied for the job, and I actually got the job as a sales rep, driving this truck around selling chemicals to all the dealerships and detailers, and which was one of the best things I ever did, because it taught me what's in the chemical, and how chemicals, can, if you've got a stain that's, an acid base or an alkaline base, then you've got to use this, and blah, blah, blah. And plus I learned a lot more about the compounds, and well, back then there wasn't a hell of a lot. But we were a distributor for Maguire's back then. Yeah. And this was back in the time when Maguire's was sort of, they were trying to crack into the panel trade to offer an alternative to Forekla and 3M. And Bruce Morrison, who owns Maguire's, he came down and gave us some training and stuff like that on their products. And we'd go out in the field and started targeting panel shops and stuff like that as well. And yeah, so I think that was when the industry changed a little bit, like from the old rotary cut and polish to using foam pads instead of lamb's wool, and the compounds not being so harsh and stuff like that. So he gave me a fair bit of training on that, and yeah, so I guess I always had a passion for paint correction. Like regardless of what I was using, it used to frustrate me that when I was using a rotary, that I'd leave buff trails or buffing marks behind. But back then you were like, well, that's just par for the course. You can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
Whereas Bruce was trying to show us, well, actually you can if you use a proper technique and different compounds and stuff like that in different pads. And their pads were getting less less dense. There was like they had a bit of give in them and stuff like that. So yeah, so the industry was definitely changing around that time. And when I look back on it, I just laugh and go, geez, a rotary. I haven't picked up a rotary in, I don't know, I think I did a boat probably 3 years ago that I used, the gel coat. I had to smash it with a rotary, and I hated every minute of it. I just don't use rotaries. I just don't need to.
Yeah. I think they're definitely making it. They're making a comeback, believe it or not. Some people are going back to them or still using them, but I think obviously with products these days, it's made it easier to finish out better, and a lot of different techniques compared to probably what
Yeah.
years ago. So.
Oh, definitely, and it's. I've probably been a little bit slack in that regard. Like I've still got my Rupaz rotary, and it's not a 1-speed; it's a variable speed. I just don't need to use it. I can achieve what I need to achieve with a DA or a random orbital. Like I don't have that sort of work where I'm trying to get 1200 sand marks out or anything like that. Because I mostly just do ceramic coatings. All I'm fixing is the screw up from the dealership. A lot of the time. Whether they buffed it with a rotary and I've got to get the buff marks out, or they've washed it with a brûlot pad.
Yeah.
I'd love to know from, I hope Hervey Bay is not the only town that has, guys that wash cars with a sponge and a chamois, like a brand new car, because it's just this. I'd say probably 60% of the brand new cars that I do, I've got to do some form of paint correction on them, at least 60%.
Yeah. I think that's standard anyway. Some people
Probably.
might not choose to correct, but I always add a few hours in top of everything. So
yeah, definitely. Like I won't let a car go out of my shop with a swirl mark in it. No way. Or a buff mark. No, It's not happening. And I'll ring the customer and go, sorry, here's the go. I've just had a look at your car. It's covered in swirl marks. It's going to cost this much. You need to ring the dealership. And because I'm certainly not doing it for nothing. And as much as I don't want the customer to be, inconvenienced or have to pay more, because it's not their fault either. I try really hard to convince them to go to the dealership and go, well, you need to do something,
I was going to ask, have you had much, have customers actually won anything from the dealership, from photos if you've shown them and said this has come from the dealership, so the dealership's actually helped out, pitched in maybe?
Yeah. Not very often, I've got to be honest. Dealerships are pretty self-righteous. They think that their standard is the correct standard. I had a lady last year, brand new D-Max, brought it to me like on a Sunday night, like just now, and dropped it off. And I thought, I'll just put it under the lights and have a quick look at it. And I had to actually go to the odometer to check that it wasn't a used car. I'm like, nah, this has got to be 4 years old,
Yeah.
And it had 60 kilometers on the clock.
Wow.
And it was a brand new D-Max, and it was red as well, which didn't help. And it was just completely trashed, completely covered in swirls. And I rang her and I said, I'm going to send you a video. Try not to cry. And she did cry. She rang me back and she's like, this is my first new car. I've spent 70,000 on it. What do I do? I said, send this to the sales manager. and she did the next morning, which stuffs my my bookings up, because I book a ceramic coating in for a day, and all of a sudden I've got to spend at least 2 days on it. So, but yeah, she sent it to the dealership, and they argued and said, no, you've done that. And she said, well, hang on a minute. I dropped the car off 20 minutes after I picked it up, or, whatever it was. And I haven't washed it, and he hasn't washed it. And they finally agreed to pay for the paint correction. So I did that, got the car as perfect as a D-Max can be, and did the coating, and she picked it up all happy. And then she rang me a week later in tears. I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, you're never going to believe this. She took it back for its first service, and they washed it.
Oh, no.
After I gave her a sign, because IGL coatings, the Kenzo always comes with a coat hanger for the mirror. Do not wash. Gave her that. She hung it up. They disregarded it, washed it with a broom, and smashed it hard. And so it was rinse and repeat. We went through it all again.
Wow.
But this time she had to take them to the ACCC, because they just went, no, we're not paying for it again. But I take a video of every car that comes in before and after, a full walk around. And she had some pretty good, information that
some
she
good
could show to
evidence.
them.
Yeah.
So good evidence. And she won it. So we did the car again, and
Wow.
and she's happy. She's happy now, I think.
Yeah, well, I think we've probably got a lot of stories with dealerships and stuff like that, especially with the new car market, how that's been booming in the last few years. So, and we all see
it's
it,
certainly
I think.
changed. It's certainly COVID sort of threw a spanner in the works a bit, but it's going crazy now. But the hardest part is actually getting the cars over here now. Like delivery times are ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you want to,
keep going.
sorry, I was just going to say, if you want a 300 series, you're going to be waiting a while for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then get it arrived, and it's the paintwork's trash on it. So, so most of your market is the new car market. That's what you aim for these days.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I won't say all I do. I still do a little bit of detailing, but 95% of my work is purely ceramic coatings.
Yep.
Mostly automotive, a little bit of commercial, a little bit of industrial, but at the moment it's new cars. So because I think people are becoming more aware, they've been burnt by the dealership coatings before, or the like everything in life, they've got more access to knowledge via Google, YouTube, all that sort of stuff. So they are actually spending a bit more time, because they want to know they're spending the money on the right thing, and they're spending a bit more time doing some serious research. And I get some pretty hard questions asked of me when they ring up about ceramic coatings, which is great because I can answer them.
Yep.
I haven't been baffled by any question whatsoever. They ring up and go, what's your solvent content of your coating? And I go, oh, this is refreshing. People are actually doing research.
Wow.
Yeah. But then you'll get people that the other end of the scale that just ring up and go, how much?
Yeah.
So you pretty much know you're not going to get that job, because their main priority is the price. So they want a cheap coating. And you can get cheaper, you can get good, but you can't get both,
Because I had the similar call the other week about they were getting a new car from the dealership, and they were offered the coating, and he already had a previous car booked with me, and then wanted to book his other one, and he was just asking, should I? And I said, well, you're coming to me with your first one, so I said, this is what we do. We actually do that. I said, maybe ask some more questions around the coating, what you're actually getting from the dealership, what they're trying to promise you at least, and see from there. And he goes, nah, they'll be right. They're usually full of shit anyway. So I said, well, this is what we do all the time. So this is our form of business. So
that's
coatings, so
100% right. 100%. And it's, I mean, I think the dealerships have damaged the industry no end,
Mm.
with what they've been doing for years. And they haven't really changed that much, to be honest. Like, they're still offering the same product that they did 10 years ago. Some of them don't even, they call it a ceramic coating, but it's actually like a ceramic sealant more than anything else.
I was going to say, you would have probably seen a fair few different ones running through the dealerships from back in the
Mm.
day to what is out there now, and
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
still, like
And
you said, using the same stuff still.
they are. And it's annoying because some people only see the lifetime warranty, it's lit up in lights and they go, they're going to charge me X amount and it's got a lifetime warranty. You're going to charge me this amount and it's got a 5-year warranty. But
Mm.
luckily, I think the industry's, because people are becoming more aware, when people ring me and say that, I just say to them, yeah, sounds too good to be true, doesn't it?
Yeah, nothing
And
lasts
they
a
go,
lifetime.
yeah, they go, well, yeah, I suppose it does. And I said, listen, I'll offer you a lifetime warranty. Bloody good luck trying to find me in 20 years' time when your coating fails. I said, because you'll either have to, fly over to Hawaii or you're going to have to dig me out of the ground, one of the two. So people are wary of warranties. They just take everything with a pinch of salt now. And I don't push my warranty like, my Kenzo's 5 years. Other coatings are 7 years, 9 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. People have just got to make their own mind up, and
Yep.
common sense should come into it at some stage. Well, there's a reason that, and I'm really, and IGL have always been really open with, their coatings and very transparent. And you just say, well, I think realistically, this is how long any coating will last. It may last more if it's in the garage 24/7. If it's out in the weather all day and you put it through the car wash every week, then it's not going to last as long. It's as simple as that. If you look after it, it'll look after you.
Mm.
And that's what I just try to, impress on my customers. And some of them take it on board, and they're really stringent about how they care for the car. Other customers, you're doing the spiel at the end where when they pick the car up and you can just see their eyes glass over. They're not listening to you. They're going,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah, I've just spent X amount of dollars. I don't care. I just want to go home and have a beer.
Yeah. I'll bring it to you to
Yeah.
wash anyway. It doesn't matter. So.
Yeah. And I don't even do that. I don't do maintenance stuff.
Yep.
So I say to the customer, that's your job. If you can't be bothered to wash your car the correct way after you've spent this amount of money, then yeah. And I haven't got time to do maintenance stuff. It eats into your day.
Mm.
If you book a maintenance detail in, then you can't do a ceramic coating.
Yeah. You got
So
to look at what's more profitable.
exactly, and I think most customers are pretty good. Like probably 80% of them want to look after the car, especially up here when you've probably got although it's, in terms of weather, it's paradise for us. It's the worst conditions for a car.
Yep.
We've got some of the highest UV index in Queensland. We've got the biggest bat population.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's not a day goes by, mate. The bats don't have target practice on your car. We've got some of the highest mineral content in the tap water. So your water spottings, you combine that with the sun.
Mm.
So someone hosing off the car and then the sun hitting it, it's just brutal. And obviously the sea spray as well, because we're on the coast. So you've only got to drive down the main street and you see all these cars with oxidation on them, and paint peeling off and left, right, and centre. And I think people that move here are actually quite aware of it now, or they've had a car that's done it and they go, no, I want to get it protected this time, So
Yeah.
that's a plus for me because I don't have to sell it. I don't have to sell the coating. They already know they want the coating. It's a case of, right, they'll ring me up and they don't even say, some people just ring up and go, yeah, I want to book my car in for IGL Kenzo.
Awesome.
No sailing involved. Yep. I'm like, yep, absolutely. Have you got leather seats? Yep. Okay. You need leather treatment. You need the ceramic leather coating. Anything else? Do you want fabric? Do you want glass? All that sort of stuff. And
Yep.
so at the end of the day, it's all about, it's you've got to make money, but you've got to give the customer quality product as well. If you're charging, that sort of dollar, you've got to back up what you're selling. So,
how did you come across IGL? What made you lean towards them?
Well, it was funny actually because I was using another brand, and I wasn't super happy with it. I won't bother naming the brand; it's not important. But I just wasn't. It just didn't sit with me. I did do maintenance stuff on ceramic coatings, and I sort of started to notice that after 12 months, the coating was starting to break down a little bit. Just wasn't given that that water beading, and yeah, it was very easy to leave high spots as well. And yeah, I just sort of started thinking about it, and the other thing was I was getting bloody headaches all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't put two and two together. It's it takes a smart lady like my wife to actually work it out for me, because I was she'd come home and I'd be like, oh geez, bloody thumping headache. And then did you do a coating today? Oh yeah, why? She's like, you get a headache every time you do a coating. I'm like, oh shit, I do. And that was the solvent in the coating, like it may not affect everyone, but it certainly affected me. And as much as, yes, you've got to wear a mask when it's 36 degrees with 100% humidity, I am not putting a mask on, because that would kill me long before the solvent did. So yeah, that was another reason. Like, I was like, oh, I didn't really think about it at the time, but yeah. So I started doing research, and I'm the sort of person that I'm pretty pedantic. I wasn't going to be that guy that changed coatings, 4 different companies or running 3 different products. I was like, no, if I make a move, it's the only move I'll make. I won't change companies again. And I approached a couple of companies. They didn't get back to me. The ones that did get back to me said, yeah, we'll make you a registered applicator or whatever. Send us through a $3,000 order. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And I went as far as like looking at other towns and other cities and seeing where their detailers were, like how many they had in a catchment zone, like.
Yeah.
And some of them, that's just their policy. They will just flood the market as many as they can. So you'll have, a town this size with 10 detailers all using the same ceramic coating. And I didn't want to be like that. So
Yeah, no. It'd be hard to sell, I reckon.
yeah, because you're not offering anything different,
No.
And I looked at IGL, and I really did literally spent months researching it, because they're really big in the States, and in Asia and stuff like that. And I contacted Eamon, who you've obviously spoken to. He's been on the show.
He's a good bloke. Yep.
He is. He's a legend. Yeah, he's a great guy. And I sort of emailed him and I said, I'm thinking about using your product. And I was probably a little bit arrogant, I was like, I'm thinking about using your product. And he sort of said, well, that's awesome, but we need to know that you fit our, our culture, and like, we just want to know that you're going to represent the brand properly. And the moment he said that, I was like, oh, I'm sold, because he cares about who's going to be using his product. It's not going to be little Johnny down the corner, slapping on ceramic coatings. And he wasn't saying, you've got to be the best detailer in town. You've got to have, a 700 square meter shop and all that. He wanted to know that we would represent the brand properly. So I sent him, he said, just let me know what sort of training you've done and stuff. And I said, well, I've done this, blah, blah, blah. And, sent him a link to my Facebook page and my website and stuff. And he realized straight away that, okay, this guy knows what he's, I've been around the block a few times. So, and, I started using their products. And to be honest, I haven't looked back. It's been the best thing for my business. Turnover wise, obviously, but just there's that thing, you can either work hard or you can work smart. So I came to the decision that I'm not young. I know you're looking at me on Skype and going, well, he looks pretty young, but I'm not.
Oh, we don't judge on age around here. It's only a number, so it's all good.
Yeah, but I've got to think to the future, and like when I started the business in the day 6 years ago from scratch, literally just went, stuff it, I'm going to do it. And after about 3 or 4 years or 3 years, you're working in the full sun sometimes for 8-10 hours a day and getting covered in chemicals, and I was just like, this is hard. I was making good coin, that wasn't an issue, but it was just hard. As you get a little bit older, those days get harder. It's a young man's game, with 95% humidity. You're like, I'd come home sometimes and just take my shoes off and jump into the pool fully clothed.
So you're mobile for a while there, were you?
I was, yeah. And I mean, I've still got my van, and I still do a little bit of mobile detailing for customers I've had for 6 years. Like, I just can't say no to them. They've all become
mates.
Some of them mates, friends. Like the first car I ever detailed when I started the business up here was an older South African guy. And the first time I met him, I thought, what a grumpy old bastard. And 6 years on, I've ceramic coated his new Mach 1 Mustang, his wife's AMG Mercedes, and I still go around to his house once a month on a Friday, wash his cars, and get paid hardly anything for it, because I'm still charging him the rate I charged him 6 years ago. But he's a mate, and he knows a lot of people, and he sends me a lot of business. And we just have a beer on the Friday Arvo and try and solve the world's problems. Yeah. I said to him, I said, Mike, if I won 60 million in tax lotto tomorrow, I would still do your cars. Yep. I'd come round in my Ferrari with my pressure washer in the back, and I'd still do your cars, because it's a part of my business. It's part of me now, And no, he's a top bloke. So.
Oh, that's good. Working on nice cars helps, even if you're not getting what you want for them. But it's the fun working on a nice car. But
that's right.
The idea is to make money at some stage too. So
exactly. But it's a bit of beer money for me. So
yeah, no, that's good. One thing with iGel, I know when he come on, he talked about Aegis, their anti-corrosion product. That's got a lot of hype around it at the moment. It'd be cool to try it one day.
Huge. It's huge. Yeah.
Would it be the right market for you guys up there to do it on your own? Probably a bit different. For you to offer it.
I won't personally offer it because I haven't got a hoist.
Yep.
So I won't offer it as an underbody. But I went over to Kuala Lumpur with Eamon and the other guys, and was absolutely blown away. Yeah, It was huge. It was like, wow. And the interest that it's getting is just phenomenal from all areas. Like, it's not just detailers. In fact, detailing is probably a small part of it. Industrial, agricultural, mining, everything.
Yeah, I think if I had a bigger shop, I think I'd probably have a look at it at least. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's just another service, and we have a four-wheel drive market down here, so it'd be perfect for all that. So yeah, I know it was It looks really cool. So
Yeah, and it's a great product, and we've actually put on another IGL detailer in Hervey Bay, Lee from OCD Detailing, and he's actually a spray painter by trade. I don't know if he's like done his full quals, but he's did it for a few years, so he knows how to to paint and stuff like that, and he's got access to a hoist. So we're in the midst of setting something up for that he'll be able to offer Aegis underbody, so the anti-corrosion clear coat.
oh wow.
So because I do get inquiries for it, and at the moment I'm saying you need to hold off for just a few weeks. But yeah, it's going to be a massive thing, absolutely massive. It's sort of like you could walk into any town anywhere in Australia and sell it to somebody,
Yeah.
Um,
No matter what industry
it's
you're
got
in.
it's got so many. It's such a versatile product, and the amount of money that the industry, like the mining industry, spends on downtime is phenomenal. And if you can shave that 10% off that, they're happy, So yeah, so that's one of the things we'll be looking at in the future is definitely the mining industry and stuff like that, and agriculture. Yeah.
I think some of these mining units I see on sites, I think they should just spray the whole things in them pretty much. They get pretty
Yeah.
fat.
Oh, they do. And it's funny because my son works up at the mines in Weipa, and he drives the big what are they called, the 770s or something like that, or the big dumpsters.
Yeah, they're belly dumper trucks. I think they are up
Yeah,
here.
yeah, he drives one of them, and I was just chatting to him about it, and when I was telling him about it, he's like, "Wow, wish we had that because our trucks are falling apart." Well, they're not falling apart, but they're always getting taken off the road for corrosion problems and stuff like that. Because that's a what do they call it? Bauxite mine. So
Bauxite
it's
might a bit different
bauxite.
up there.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's very high alkalinity. So which is pretty harsh on surfaces and metal. So yeah, we'll be looking at that sort of thing in the future. But yeah, but even as you said, like the 4-wheel drive market, there's a lot of snake oil out there. People
Yep.
spray under their cars, and this being transparent, like being a clear coat, doesn't require a primer. I don't think you could design it any better if you tried, to be honest.
I haven't seen anyone else sort of promote anything. Not that I've gone looking, but yeah, maybe it's just because it's from a detailing company or a coating company already. But you don't really see many other sort of stuff being promoted yet. So it seems like nearly on its own, maybe.
Yeah, there isn't anything else like it on the market, that's for sure. Absolutely. That I've ever seen. I'm happy to stand corrected, but I've never seen anything remotely like it. Most of the underbody stuff's your black. Is it Caro based stuff? Like the real horrible,
More
Yeah, you
like
just
the sound deadening sort of the black stuff that's real
yeah,
thick. Yep.
yeah, which is great until you've got to do any repairs on your car, and then it's yeah. Whereas at least with this, if if there is any corrosion coming up, it's a clear coat. You can see it straight away. So yeah, wonder product. It's watch this space. It'll be massive. But and that's just one of the things that IGL. They've also got an equivalent of Raptor coat, which is amazing as well. The IGL armor. Wow, talk about a flexible coating. It's insane.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So you work from home nowadays?
Yeah, I've got a workshop at home that's all kitted out. I'm on a fairly large block of land, so I've actually got two sheds I work out of. I've still got the van, so I do, as I said to you before, I still do occasionally do mobile stuff, but not for ceramic coating. So that's only for detailing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shed's got, the workshop's got, climate control, lighting, flooring. Yeah.
Yeah. No, nice.
So
And it was funny from the other week having Sleekspace on. We got chatting, and I was talking about other detailers around their flooring and stuff, and he said, "Oh, Intensity has got it as well. And I said, "Oh, is that Sid from Hervey Bay?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I had a look at your Instagram, and yeah, he said you got your flooring in your shed, and I'm like, "Oh wow, looks cool with the grey and the green, like with the IGL
Yeah,
green. Looks cool."
yeah. Well, it's funny. Even before I was ever IGL, that green color has been my, I guess, brand. Like I've
It's on your logo as well, yeah. So
yeah. That's been my logo for 6 years, and that was one thing when I looked at IGL. I'm like, oh, they've got the same green as I do. So it works in well. It just it flows well, and the green is sort of represents my business.
yeah, no,
So yeah, but no, great flooring. Yeah, I was amazed at it. I was sort of dubious because I I was like, oh, this is going to cost a fortune, and when I rang them, I got actually quite a pleasant surprise. I was like, oh, that's it's not that bad.
yeah,
And I needed something that was going to be like permanent, not move around. I you know cheapish sort of foam sort of tiles, and they just kept moving around, and they looked terrible, and they the ends would curl up, and you'd bloody trip over them, and yeah, so I went, nah, I've had enough of this, and I contacted them, and they were brilliant. They were like, told me exactly what I needed, exactly how much it was up for, no hidden stuff. It was just like, yep, this is it, and I got it. I think about 3 days later, and it took me, I don't know, maybe 2 hours at the most to put the whole floor down.
mm.
And it was so easy. I was really impressed with it. So, because we've all been caught by stuff that looks great on the internet, and
yeah,
and then you go, well, I got sucked in there, didn't I? But nah, no, I scored well with that one.
yeah. I think the green border looks, yeah, it really definitely stands out.
Yeah, it does.
Really pops. Um, so what? Oh, with the how do you go with the humidity? And that you obviously just shut the door, put the aircon on, and stuff like that
Yeah,
with coating.
like the humidity's. I mean, it does get pretty feral up here. Probably from like January to March, it's at its worst. But we used to only get. I don't know if this is global warming or whatever you want to blame it on. We used to get about probably 2-3 weeks of really bad humidity. The past 2 years, we've had at least 3 months of humidity, and some of it pretty brutal. Like up in the high 90s and stuff like that. We Harvey Bay is lucky in one respect that we don't get the pure heat that you get in like Brisbane and the sunny coast, where it might get up to 42 degrees. We never get that. The hottest it ever gets here would probably be 36.
Oh yeah.
But the humidity is there all the time, and we get overnight lows. And in the height of summer, the overnight low might be 26 degrees. So, but no, it doesn't. It doesn't really affect the coating that much. IG, the coatings are the Kenzo, the one that I use mostly, the flagship coating. It's pretty forgiving, and I've done probably close to 400 of them since I've been using them. So I think I know how to read the product and stuff like that. And
Yep.
yeah, you do. All I do is I just shorten the flash off time. Simple as that. I don't have to do anything different. Rather than leaving the base coat on for 20 minutes, I'll leave it on for 15 minutes. And the top coat, I'll change that as well. But in
Mm.
terms of, it's nothing that ever stresses me, and I go, oh shit, this won't come off, Yeah.
No, that's good.
I
What's
did stuff. I did stuff up last week though. I'm quite happy to admit that I'm human.
Oh, that's all right.
I actually got a phone call in the middle of a coating, and I never answer the phone during a coating. And for some reason I did. I don't know. I was just having a brain fart, and I realized I didn't realize that I'd left one quarter panel coated and hadn't wiped it off, and went back to it about an hour later.
Oh wow.
I was like, holy. But it came off. It was all right. It was sticky, but
Yeah.
I still got it off. It wasn't a big issue. But I was like, I've never done that. It just shows you that you just don't pay attention for a minute, and
Mm.
yeah,
Can slip up.
that's such is life. Yeah, we're all human, mate. We all make mistakes. I've made worse than that.
Oh yeah, I think we all have. So,
Yeah.
what's your polishing sort of what's your favorite sort of polish compounds and stuff? Are you using any
um,
Maguire still or any of that?
it's funny. Before I joined IGL, I did use a fair bit of Maguire's. But then I started using the IGL compounds, and I actually really liked them. So I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
it just makes sense if you're ordering your coatings. Why not get your compounds at the same time? Why not get your pads at the same time? If the quality's there, just I hate like working all day and then have to sit on the computer at night ordering different, because in Hervey Bay there's no such thing as like a shop round the corner that sells it.
No.
You've got everything's online. So um, I got sick of just like dealing with 5 or 6 different suppliers. So and the IGL compounds were I used the F1 that's a non-diminishing compound. So I like that, and I use that. And then I also use a bit of Rupaz. I'm a bit of a compound slut, really. I'll try anything. Like somebody gave me a bottle of the Car Pro Ultra Cup, and I tried that, and the Car Pro stuff I've tried before, and it's been all right, but I didn't like this particular one. It just didn't suit me. But I find compounds are like, I use, probably the one I use the most is the Last Cut, an American product.
Yep.
I just like it. I'm not going to say that it's better than any of them. It just suits me. I find that I'm not one of those detailers that has 15 different compounds in their arsenal. I've got 3, I think, and I'll change my pads, change my technique, but I very rarely have to go to a different compound, because my jobs aren't, most of my jobs being new cars, are getting swirl marks out of a car. Like the only time you've got to go to a heavy cut is if it's going to be one of those, maybe like a European car that's got paint that's as hard as a rock. But again, I've been detailing long enough. I know how to fix. That
Yeah.
sort of they're more time consuming, but they're not frustrating. You just how to do it. It might turn into a 2-step or 2-stage correction, but yeah, I'd rather change my pad than change my compound, and that works for me. Just knowing, you get to know after a while.
Yeah, that's sort of what I say. I know everyone has different opinions or uses lots of products, but I just stick to one and do the same, just switch out pads or stuff like that. So does IGL have a primer polish or anything?
They
They offer?
they've got F1, F2, and F3, which is like, as the name suggests, the F1's the harsh compound. Well, not harsh, but it's a non-diminishing compound. The F2 is, I guess, like a medium cut compound, and the F3 is a swirl remover polish. So yeah, I don't personally use them. When I find something that I like, I just tend to stick to it, and I don't try to change too much. Like I've tried Scholl compounds, I've tried Menzerna, won't go there. But yeah, for some reason I keep going back to the Last Cut. I just really like that. The 3D I've tried as well. I'm currently using their 3D like a swirl remover. So that works for me. Not saying it works for everyone, but there's so many on the market. God, you could spend your lifetime trying different products, and every time you jump on any detailing thing on YouTube, there's something there, something new coming out, like And you can get yourself confused by using so many different products and so many different, pads and stuff like that. And I'd rather spend, when I get a car in for correction, whether it's a new or a used car, if it needs correction, I'll spend half an hour. I don't care, like just playing with the panel and swapping combos. And sometimes you'll get it right straight away because the car. Like I do a lot of Silverados,
Yeah, I've
a
seen
lot
that.
of Chevys. Yeah, and I just sort of know their paint now. So I don't have to play around with it too much. I just go, yeah, I know what combo I got to use on this. But every once in a while, you'll get surprised and you'll go, oh, what's going on here? Like, the paint I least like doing out of any car, and I'm sure most detailers will agree with me, is Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Amarok paint. It has always been like, let's get out the 1200 sandpaper before we even try anything. Because
Yep.
it's rock hard. And I don't do a lot of Volkswagens up here. They just don't seem to sell too well in the four-wheel drive market. But they must have been a shipper ride because I got two Amaroks and a Tiguan in 1 week. And I was dreading it. I was like, oh, I hope to Christ these cars don't need paint correction because, man, I'm going to have to work hard on them. And the first one I got, it had some pretty gnarly swirls in it. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be a 2-day job, get out the angle grinder. But being taught the way I was, I suppose, and always remembering what, people have taught me is that you always use the least aggressive product first.
Yep.
And work your way up. And I still stand by that. And for any detailers starting off, that's exactly what you got to do. Even if it's not going to work, you still do it,
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. I pulled the swirls out on the first pass with a mild compound. And I was like, holy hell, what happened there? And it wasn't until the customer picked up the car and I said, oh, I've fixed up some swirl marks in your paint. And he goes, yeah, I was curious because he's had Amaroks his whole life a lot of, for a few years. And he goes, I was curious how the paint was going to go on it because they've stopped painting them overseas, wherever they originally painted them, and they're getting painted in South Africa now.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
Because it was so different. And then the two other ones I had for the week were the exact same. They were soft as hell. I'm talking Subaru soft. I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Oh, they're getting better then.
Well, yeah, it's a good thing. But many a Amarok has pulled my hair out. It's defeated me. I haven't even been able to. You're at the stage where you go to the customer, mate. We're going to look at wet sanding. That's the only option. Because nothing I've got in my arsenal is getting into this paint. And yeah, so but yeah, it's a pleasant surprise that and that's the thing because the manufacturers use different paints all the time. I used to work for DuPont car paints.
Yep.
And they would sell to whoever the lowest bidder was, and BMW will use, I think back in the day when I was selling, they were mostly Glazerite. But they've changed now and then they'll change back, and different companies, they just get them painted anywhere, like Isuzu get their D-Max painted in 5 different countries, from what I've been told. I don't know if that's right, but you're talking like Argentina, Peru, Germany, so, and the paints will always be different.
Yep.
So it's getting harder to pick them. You used to be able to go, oh yeah, it's going to be hard paint, it's going to be soft paint, but it's not that way anymore.
No.
Yeah. So.
No, nice. How's I always ask this one. How's the culture like up in Hervey Bay with the other detailers? You got many up your way?
Yeah, it's a strange town. There's Hervey Bay is a very transient community, purely based on, I guess that they call it the town of the newlywed and the nearly dead. So there's a lot of old people, which means there's a lot of medical facilities and a lot of doctors. So people just tend to come and go, and it also means that a lot of detailers will come here and try the luck. They'll move here, and like when I first started, I think there was 15, 16 detailers full time, like businesses.
Yep.
Now there's probably, I don't know, 7 or 8.
Right.
Couple of purely car yard guys that just do car yards and panel shops and your fleet stuff, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And yeah, good luck to them. That's like they concentrate on quantity. Quantity, not quality. They've just got to smash them out, and that's fine. There's always going to be a need for that sort of business. And we've got look, there's probably 5 or 6 main guys. There's one guy that none of us really talk to him. I'm going to be really polite here and say that his moral compass needs some serious adjustment on the field and off the field.
Yeah.
But apart from that, the rest of the guys, like I get a heap of detailing inquiries still, even though I don't even advertise detailing anymore. It's still on Google. I'll give them to, I'll send them to one of 3 guys that I use, or I send the work to, and they will send ceramic coating inquiries back to me. So, and we get along. We'll catch up and have a beer, and if they listen to this, we really need to organise a Christmas party, because when you're self-employed, it's a pretty lonely Christmas party, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So we need to all get together and just have a detailing night. But yeah, no, they're good guys. They do good quality work, and as I said, like one of the guys, Lee from OCD, he actually approached me. I think he's been in business about 3 years ago. 3 years now. He approached me, and he was quite upfront. He's like, "Hey mate, on moved from the sunny coast. I'm starting a detailing business in Hervey Bay, and I know what I'm doing. Just wondering if you had any overflow work that you could send me, because I'm just starting up." And I thought, well, bloody hell, mate, good on you. You got the balls to approach another detailer and say that. That's good. And he was a lovely guy, and I said, hey mate, I get, I don't know, 3, 4 inquiries a day that I can't handle, so I'll send it to you. And I'm at that age, everyone's thinking, why don't you just put on another detailer? No, it's not the way I want my business to go. So
yeah.
Yes, I easily could, but no, don't want the hassle. So I started sending all my work to Lee, and if you rang him today, he would say, I'm booked out till January.
Yep.
So he's a really hard-working detailer. He knows what he's doing, and he started doing IGL coatings as well. So, and he'll be doing the Aegis. So,
yep.
Yeah, and the other 2 guys are, they're good quality guys as well. So, but there's 100 other guys. Like you get them come up on Facebook every day, and you go, who the hell is this? A few months ago, I was driving into town, and this radio, this advertisement came on the radio, and it was this guy's that they said, oh, Hervey Bay's best detailer is doing a special, and they said his name, and I'm like, who the hell is he? I've never heard of him. And he's the best detailer in Hervey Bay, and went on, and this ad went for 3 weeks, and I checked out his Facebook profile because I was curious. And there was only one post on there, and it was his business card. A photocopy or a screenshot of his business card. And he never put another post on after that. And the ad stopped, and no one ever heard from him again. So I don't know whether it just didn't work. The radio didn't work for him, which I find surprising, because radio, although it's expensive, it actually does work.
Yep.
B, he won Tats Lotto and just said, screw this, I'm out of here. Or he got hit by a bus. I don't know. And we get that quite a bit. They'll pop up and they'll be gun-ho for a few months, and then they just disappear. But
yeah, I've seen that
the ones,
too.
Yeah. The ones that do it properly, like they, if they come in offering $50 wash and vacs. They're not going to survive.
Mm.
Not in this climate. You cannot. I think that the guy that was on your podcast a while ago, is it Said from
Oh
the
yeah,
ACT?
yeah.
Sad
Yep.
from the
Yep.
ACT. He said it perfectly. If you earn $1, only 50 cents of that's yours.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
and it's true in detailing. People don't. That's the thing. You don't. You think, oh well, I've made $500 today, and no, you haven't. No, you haven't. You've brought in $500, but
You haven't taken it home.
look behind you. There's a line of people with their hand out wanting to take some off you.
Yeah,
Namely the tax man for starters. But yeah,
absolutely.
he wants a bite from both sides, the GST and the BAS.
Is it sort of not slowing down up your way? It's probably a bit hard to say at this time of the year, but people always
No,
say that
not for
things are quieting down, or no.
though. It's really hard to read actually because I generally do just new cars. The detailing hasn't slowed down at all. I still get a heap of inquiries for pre-sale details.
Yep.
Um, but with the new cars, it sort of comes in ebbs and flows. Like I'll get 10 inquiries in a couple of days, or 10 bookings. They want to book in, and then you have nothing for a week, and that's because the new car deliveries have either been delayed. Like we had a situation now, it's probably maybe 3 months ago, where I was booked out for like 2 months in advance with Kenzo's with ceramic coatings, and I'm thinking happy days, and then all of a sudden they all started cancelling on me.
Hmm.
Oh, what the hell's going on? And then I just happened to read a thing on the news about how a ship carrying cars had docked at Brisbane and been put in quarantine for 6 weeks
Oh,
because they'd found, I don't know, bugs or something in the cars, and they have to keep them there for 6 weeks. And there was 2,000 cars on that boat.
yeah, right.
And after a bit of detective work, I realized, yeah, that's exactly what's happened. So that's the hardest part about relying on dealerships and relying on delivery times, is that, yeah, you're out there when you've got no control over it. And even down to when it comes to the dealership, they'll say, yeah, it'll be ready Friday. And then, nah, it's not ready Friday. Something's
Yeah.
happened and it'll be ready next week. So it's a bit of a juggling act. And yeah, especially during, like, just after COVID, it went really crazy because people had money. They were buying new cars left, right, and center. But the delivery times were just all over the place.
Yep.
I've had people waiting 2.5 years for a car. Even a Toyota Camry, apparently the wait time at the moment's 18 months for
Wow.
certain models of Camrys. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So,
hectic. You'd get it and it'd probably have a different build date.
I know.
A year old by the time you get it.
Yeah, and you're not getting the car you wanted. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy stuff. Yeah.
No, it's interesting. You got many future plans for your current business, where it's heading, or just
Yeah,
continue
yeah. No, I've never been a plodder, mate.
on?
Even though I'm, as I keep saying, I think I'm talking myself into an early grave the way I keep saying this, but I'm not getting any younger. I've got more birthdays behind me than I have in front of me. Well, maybe not. Who knows? I don't know. I could be one of these guys that lives to 110, but I doubt it. I've got to look to the future for my family and stuff like that. And I made the decision 3 years ago to stop detailing, so much, and trying to get out of it completely. Or if not completely, but 95%, and just concentrate on the coatings. And I think I've succeeded there because I'm always booked out with coatings. Like I normally do about 4 coatings a week. And considering we're in a town of 60,000 or 65,000 people,
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty happy with that.
Yep.
With for new cars. But in the future, I can see me probably having to put on someone to do the coatings because there's a bigger market out there, much bigger market with Aegis. I've been working with Eamon for a while, sort of behind the scenes, to get more detailers in Queensland. I mean, I won't lie, there are not enough IGL detailers in Queensland. And
Yep.
that's only probably because it's logistically hard for Eamon being in Sydney to, spread the word.
Yep.
There's plenty in all the other states, but Queensland seems to have sort of down south, yes, and the Sunny Coast and the Gold Coast and all that, yes, but regional Queensland, no. And I keep getting bookings from places afar you wouldn't believe. Like last year, I had a lady book in her new Mazda from Mackay, which is 7.5 hours drive from here. And she just rang up and said, "Hi, I want Kenzo, I want leather, and blah, blah, blah. I want this. I'm coming from Mackay. When do you want the car?" And I'm like, holy cow. I get inquiries from Rockhampton, which is, I think that's about 5 hours away, to Toowoomba. It's just, yeah, it's mental. So people want their cars coated with Kenzo or IGL, but we do need to put on more detailers. So I'm actually flying up to Cairns in 2 weeks, believe it or not, to ceramic coat a car.
Oh, wow.
Cairns is 1,200 k's away. So if there's any detailers in Cairns that are interested in seeing how, the IGL coatings, because I'm doing everything, probably doing the Aegis as well.
Yep.
Yeah, if they're interested in seeing how that works, get in contact with me and I'll take you through how the IGL range works.
Yep. No, that'd be good. Spread
Yeah,
the
and
word.
it's a bit of, yeah, definitely, and it's it's a good excuse for a business trip for me. So
Yeah. Yeah, Cairns be nice and warm this time of year too.
oh yeah, I've been up there a few times, and yeah, she's humid, mate. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to. I take my hat off to anyone that runs any sort of business, like detailing, especially up there, because man, I know you get acclimatized, but still, humidity is one thing you can't. I personally don't think you can get used to. Like it's horrible.
No, it's a different climate, even with up in Darwin. So yeah, that's a very different too. So
Yeah, but it's better than freezing your what's off.
in
And
Scotland.
I lived in well, yeah, in Scotland especially, yeah. But and the thing is, when I moved to Australia, I didn't think I didn't think Scotland was cold. I thought, it was just that's the way it was. You get acclimatized. But then in Scotland, you're always wearing a ski jacket and you're always rugged up.
The from your many years of experience, have you ever thought of what we could improve in our industry currently?
Well, yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. I think the industry has improved a lot over the years. We're seeing a lot more professional
Yep.
detailers that, they're getting into PPF, they're getting into window tint, they're getting into rust proofing. They're charging big dollars. You've got to have the shop to be professional. You can't just have a backyard little shed anymore. So it's good in that way. And there are a plethora of really professional detailers in Australia. Like half of them have been on the podcast. Like you just got to listen to how they, their knowledge base and stuff like that. But the biggest problem is that it's an unregulated industry. Not just detailing, but ceramic coatings. So you're always going to get guys that are going to come in just wanting to make a quick buck.
Yep.
Or like sell their one layer Chinese coating with a 15-year warranty. That's what you're always going to get that. And I don't, hopefully that'll change one day, but it would take something massive for the detailing industry to be regulated like it is, the mechanical industry for starters, like it would need the TAFE colleges to be involved. There would have to be some formal accreditation. And there's not enough training. And I know every single person that's been on the show has said that there's hardly any options for training if you're a detailer starting out. There's just you're just as well getting online, because that's probably the best you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll go and try and work with someone who owns a shop and maybe get some tips off them. But yeah, we do lack a little bit of that, but it's definitely out there if you go looking, I think.
Yeah, and the industry is getting better. There's no doubt about it. It's got a long way to go, but compared to what maybe America's at, but I think there's, as I said before, that the customer is getting more picky and they're getting more switched on to what they actually want and what they're getting for their money.
Yep.
So they're not going to settle for, little Johnny in his backyard with a Chinese coating that cost him $15 on eBay. Some still do, I guess, but the majority of them know what they want. And word of mouth is obviously a big thing as well. So, which is a good thing in a town this size. I've managed to create a good word of mouth. So,
yeah, that would help. That's definitely big. So,
it's free advertising, mate. That's for sure. Yeah.
No, that's good. We might jump into our 6-stage questions, and I think you might explain it. Your first ever detailing job?
Proper detailing was in Australia, but my first detailing job was in Scotland. Yeah, it was when I was 15. Just washing cars. I do remember polishing a Mercedes when I was 15. Probably scratched the crap out of it. I don't know. It probably still had icicles on it.
Yeah.
But that was my first job. It was actually, it wasn't a Mercedes, it was a Mark II Jaguar. Because this shop only sold Mercs, Jags, Rovers, sort of British stuff. Yeah. And a couple of Europeans, like fancy Alphas and shit like that. So, yeah.
Do you have a favourite polisher?
Yeah, I've always been Rupes. I know some people will go, "Oh, cast him out, kill him." I've only because I've always used them. I used to sell them when I worked for the chemical company. They were a Rupes dealer. I've been trained in Rupes. I've done all the training and stuff like that. And I've never had an issue with any of my. I think I've got 3. I've got a rotary. I've got a DA. I've got a random overall. I've got a mini polisher, and I got a couple of shine mates as well. But the Rupes is probably my Bigfoot's my go-to product. Yeah.
Yeah. What have you thought about the new hybrid with the cordless? Do you see much of that?
I actually had to replace my mini polisher a couple of days ago. And I got online, and stupid me, I didn't realize it was going to be Black Friday, where they always have the sales. I got on the Thursday. But anyway, and I looked at the Rupes one and I was like, geez, I want one. And then I looked at the price and went, you know what, for the amount of time I used that,
Yeah.
I can't justify it. If I was a big detailing shop, yeah, definitely. And I could have, I could have splurged, but there's the Scotsman in me that just goes, no, you don't need it. You don't need it, mate. So I was stuck to my $400 one that I'll probably only pick up once a week or something like that. So, but yeah, geez, it looks sexy though. It does look good. Yeah. And I've spoken to a couple of detailers that they're using the Milwaukee ones.
Oh yeah, they meant.
But yeah, the big rap on them, from especially in the States, obviously, but because I think they're an American brand, aren't they?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. but the problem I've seen with them is that you've got to buy at least 3 or 4 batteries, because they only last for the battery life's only like 2 hours.
For the Milwaukee ones?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know about the Rupes one. I'd guess it would be similar.
Oh, it's actually it says 40 minutes continuous runtime. So that's
So 40 minutes. Yeah, wow. So you'd have to have it. Yeah.
It
That's
comes
a lot
with
of batteries.
Yeah, it comes with 2 batteries, and it has that's a continuous. So if you just pull the trigger on, it'll last for 40 minutes. So if you're on and off, you'd probably get more out of
Yeah,
it.
I guess
Maybe.
so. Yeah, you'd probably maybe get an hour and a half out of it or something. But
Yeah.
if you're doing but then again, you probably wouldn't be doing a big paint correction with a cordless.
Probably not. No.
No. So
It has that that like there are other options with the cord. You can have it corded as well, so you can put the cord adapter on and run it like the old one.
okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, they're definitely, and as I said, I've always been a big fan of Rupes, and I've always been fairly involved with selling their products when I was a rep. So I know people have got their loyalties to different brands, for no other reason than they just like them, and I'm the same. A lot of people go, nah, that's Flex or nothing. That's fine.
I treat it like Ford and Holden or Ford and Chev. Like you're either. So
Yeah,
Flex or
exactly.
Rupes
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever else you like. It's each to their own. So
Yep. And I know guys that just smash out a shine, mate, and it'll last them three years.
Yep.
That's and I've got a couple of shine mates here that I bought when I first started, and they're still going.
Yeah.
I don't use them very often, but I've had the Maguire's DA, and but you just tend to stick to what you like, like what's comfortable in your hands, and you get a feel for it. It's an extension of your body, like when you do it so often, it's just got to feel right, I think, in my opinion. Yeah.
100%. So, do you have a dream car that you always wanted, or have you already got it?
Yeah, no, I haven't got it, mate. That's for sure. Well, believe it or not, like if I won Lotto tomorrow, I wouldn't go out and buy a Ferrari. I wouldn't go out and buy, a supercar. I'd get a 2002 model E46 M3.
Oh, yeah? Why that? Why that year?
BMW. I've just always loved them.
Yep.
I'd probably actually, if I was that rich, I'd get the CSL version. I've had 3 E46s, and I've just loved them to death. They're just the best car to drive. Like they're not race cars by any stretch. The M3 is, but I've had the 330 CI, the 325 CI, the 330i. And I just love them. They're just a great car. Considering my old man was always a Mercedes bloke, I went to the dark side and started driving Beamers. So, and my young fella's, he's 16 now, and he's got his learners, and we're looking at buying him a car, and I'm like, nah, he's getting a Beamer, because they're a safe car, and they're not that expensive. You get something like a 318i, it's only a 4-cylinder, non-turbo, beautiful.
Yep. Oh, that's good. What have we got? Detailing, favorite detailing tool or product?
Excuse me. Well, believe it or not, and I thought about this because obviously you sent me the questions. The one thing I hate doing in detailing is interiors, and we touched on this when we spoke a while ago.
Yeah, everyone knows my stance on them, but
yeah, I'm no different. I hate interiors. Obviously you have, as a detailer, you've got to do them.
That's right. Yep.
I try not to. If someone says I've got a car, I've got a 7-seater that's covered in dog hair, and my kids have spewed in it, how much, I go, I'll give you the number of someone I don't like. I'll just quote them an exorbitant price because I don't want to do it.
Yep.
The return on your investment isn't there because realistically, people aren't going to spend $800 getting their interior cleaned.
Mm.
They want it done for $400 if you're lucky.
Yep.
And you've got to work your bloody ass off for to get it to the standard. And I just don't get the enjoyment of standing back looking at an interior and going, wow, that looks great. I just go, wow, it looks okay, it's finally clean. You have to do it, of course, I understand that, but I'll stand back and look at a paint correction and a coating and go, hell yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
And whereas the customer will come pick up the car if you've done a mini detail or an interior, and they'll go, oh, it smells good. I'm like, what? It smells good? That's all you can say? Really? Like I've just killed 10,000 bacterias in your car and, swept out 4 kilos of dog hair and it smells good. So yeah, I don't like doing them. So sorry, back to your original question. My favorite product is the Tornador.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
because it cuts down the amount of time I have to bloody spend in an interior. It's not the perfect tool, it does make a little bit of a mess occasionally, but I've got the new one with I can't remember what it's called, but it attaches to your vacuum.
Oh yeah, yes, I've seen them. Looks like a
Yeah, I've
good
got one.
idea actually.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it doesn't spray the product out like the original Tornado does. You've got to obviously spray your own product onto the carpet or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, it works well with like especially here where I get a lot of cars from Fraser Island.
Oh yeah, full of beach
And
sand.
the sand there is so fine, it's just impossible to get out. But the Tornador does it. So, yeah, as much as I hate interiors, and yeah, the Tornador, like keeps me sane a little bit. But my favorite detailing product's obviously got to be IGL Kenzo because that's my staple diet, and I use so much of it. So,
Yep. No, that's good. Look, like you're probably similar to me. You do interiors, but you probably don't take photos and post them up and stuff like that. So
I don't post any detailing before or afters.
Yep.
And that's like a hint or a tip to any newer detailers that are just getting on board is whatever you post on Facebook is what you're going to get
Yep.
in the future. And I learned that the hard way because I remember once I had like a 10-year-old Ford Ranger, white farm truck, absolute pig of a car. Paint was completely oxidized as they always are, and I spent about 14 hours on this car, and the before and after shots looked amazing. So I put it on Facebook, silly me, because what inquiries I got for the next 3 or 4 weeks was people with dirty putrid white Rangers. So anything you put on Facebook is, if you put a Ferrari on there, you're going to get someone ringing you up with a Ferrari. If you put on a Ranger, you'll get a Ranger because people can relate to it. Not that there's too many Ferraris in Hervey Bay. I think there's only one. But there's plenty of Rangers. But yeah, no, I don't advertise any detailing at all on Facebook or Instagram. Only my ceramic coatings because that's where I want the business to be.
Yep.
So
No, 100% agree because I'm very similar to that. Yeah, some people might disagree, but that's sort of my line of work. And there's others in town that's their market. They choose to want to detail. I know I've got detailing in my name, but yeah, it's that's how it all started though. So you got to start somewhere.
Well, you got to do it to start off, and then you got to find your niche. Like where you want to be in the market, because it's a massive market, and there's plenty of work out there. Absolutely
Exactly.
amazing. I could put 3 guys on tomorrow and start, promoting caravan detailing, motorhome detailing, and probably fill the page. That's not where I want to be, but it's and that's one thing new detailers need to work out is where do they want to be in the market.
Yep.
So,
No, that's you've just pretty much answered the next question. Any tip for a detailer starting out? So probably to pick your market.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can be we all start out as general detailers and go, I'll detail anything. I'll polish a turd if you want me to. But um, at the end of the day, I think a lot of us actually fall into a certain, niche, whether it's show cars, whether it's motorhomes, boats. You don't intentionally sometimes start that way, but just by it might be pure coincidence. You do a boat one day, and then his mate says, "You did my mate's boat. I want mine done." And all of a sudden, all you're doing is boats.
Yep.
And then you go, "Well, okay, I don't have to do cars. I'm going to do boats." And that's how you sometimes just fall into the industry you didn't actually, mean to be in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think one of the if there was a big bit of advice to give to anyone that's never been in business before, whether it's detailing or anything else, but go and do a small business course.
Oh yeah.
You can go to this TAFE college and I think they even do like a 6-week, 1 night a week course. Absolute basic, costs bugger all. A lot of the time it's even funded by the government, because they'll teach you the concrete things in your business that are you can't change. Your GST, your BAS statements, how to register a business, your business insurance. They cover a little bit of marketing, not much, but just the stuff that you might just not realize when you jump into a business. If you just go, hell, I'm going to be a detailer tomorrow. That'll go a long way to saving you a lot of pain further down the track. I'm lucky that my wife is a business manager type person, so she knows all the accounting and GST and all that stuff, and I just let her go for it.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, I couldn't do it, mate. No. I haven't got enough time in the day for that. But yeah, definitely do that. And I think as we said before, pick your market. If you're willing to spend the hard hours doing something like motorhomes and caravans, go for your life. Let's smash it out and advertise caravans, because you will, depending on your location, obviously. But if it was here in Hervey Bay, mate, you'd be booked out for 12 months. There's that many motorhomes and grey nomads coming up every year. Whereas I don't do that. I'll do ceramic coatings on motorhomes, but I won't do paint correction because I'm shit scared of heights. I get vertigo, and I have done a couple, and I've suffered for it, and I've come home like a trembling wreck. Because like a couple of times I've fallen off ladders, and it's not pleasant.
No,
But
definitely.
But yeah, and just don't be afraid to even, as a new detailer, if you're trying to crack the market, don't be afraid to go to the bigger guys, like the established detailers, and knock on the door, and go, hey, I'm new in town. I'm starting a detailing business. I'm not going to step on your toes, but if you get any excess work, can you maybe send it my way? Not necessarily recommend me, because you don't know what my work's like, but if you're good enough to put your money where your mouth is, I did it, and if someone rang me tomorrow and said that, I'd go, yeah, right, I won't recommend you because I don't know you, but I'll send some work your way, and what you do with it is up to you.
Yeah. That's
So
no, very good.
Yeah, because we've all got to live in the same time. We've all got to work together, and there's competition. Then there's, you just have to do your own thing. There's no point in getting involved in other people.
No.
I
even like the I actually have thought of it. The Christmas party idea, because there's a few in my area that sort of all work on our own sort of thing. So I have thought about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty boring existence when you think about it. Like as a sole trade, like I fly solo and just do coatings all day on my own.
Hmm.
And the other guys, the mobile detailers, they're on their own all day. And all you've got is like podcasts or music and stuff like that. And you sort of sometimes like it's all right if I guess if you're mobile detailing, you might get to chat to the customer for a while, but and then other times the customer will come out and won't leave you alone, and you're like, well, we should just go back inside. You've missed a bit. I haven't got to that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, go back inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you what are your interests outside of detailing when you get a bit of time off?
Well, my wife and I and my young fella, we try to camp as much as we can, but that's sort of yeah, it doesn't happen enough. But with the coatings, no, I can I can choose to work 4 days a week if I want. I'm quite happy to do that. So we've been doing a little bit more camping. We're going away next weekend. We're going away at Christmas. Yeah, so I do a lot of camping, and just to show my age, our main interest is actually my wife and I and my young son play lawn balls,
Oh, yeah, that's all right.
which is everyone's going, oh, I told you he was an old fart. It's actually a young man's game though, or a young person's game.
It is, yeah. Yep.
All the world champions in Australia, which by the way, all the world champions are from Australia.
True.
Yeah, definitely absolutely the best in the world. They're all under 30,
Oh wow.
so or close to it. Yeah, my young fella, he's 16, and he went down to Brisbane not long ago and played in the Queensland State School Championships. For the first ever comp, and him and his partner came fourth out of 18 teams from around Australia. So yeah, like we go to comps and it's all young. There's young people there. It's not. There are still oldies,
Yep.
but that's a good thing because even at my age, and I go there and play, and the old lady will come up to you and she'll say, "It's your shot, young fella," and I go, "Yeah, that sounds good, young fella." Doesn't help that she's 96. But yeah, no, there's not many. It's a changing sport. It's very technical actually. We've only been doing it for 12 months, and it's yeah, we really enjoy it. So
Very sociable sort of game too. You can sometimes you even have a couple of beers and play and all that sort of stuff.
oh, absolutely, we
Mm.
always have a beer.
Yep.
We're playing tomorrow night. I'll stand and have a few beers, and you can go off and have a smoke, in between balls, and
Nice.
yeah, it is very sociable, and um, you just like I sponsor the local club, and I've got my advertising up, and they have live stream games where it
Hmm.
gets beamed around the world actually, and certainly around Australia. So, and they get 20, 30,000 people watching.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, and my sign's right on the live stream line. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Very nice. Oh well, we might wrap it up there, Sid.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
worries,
that's
mate. And,
been a pretty good chat.
yeah, once again, yeah, thanks for having us on the podcast, mate. It's one of the things that keeps me sane when I'm working on my own.
Unfortunately, it's only every fortnight.
Yeah, well, you probably need to give up your day job, mate, and just do it full time.
That's what everyone's telling me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
honestly.
I actually spoke. Well, I was speaking to Eamon the other day about it, and it came up because sorry, just on a side note,
You're right. Yeah.
one of there's one guy on the podcast who was talking about graphene coatings and how he didn't believe in them and stuff like that, which is fine. Each to their own.
Hmm.
But when I was over in Kuala Lumpur at the factory, it got explained to me why graphene is a thing and all the myths around it and how there's different grades of graphene and stuff like that. And it's after all the information I took in, it was a little bit technical for me, because I've been smashed for a week on info. But Keong, who owns IGL Coatings, put it really well, and if you ever want to get someone to understand the graphene coatings and how it works and how it doesn't work, get him on your podcast, and he would be more than happy to come on your podcast.
Yep.
He's a man that is so intelligent when it comes to the ingredients and what coatings actually do and how they do what they do. And it's not just an IGL thing; it's just like coatings in general, and how graphene has come such a long way and stuff like that. And if you ever want him on the podcast, contact Eamon, and I'm sure he can bend his arm and get him on.
Yeah, I remember he even invited me to that event, and I'm like, oh, I'm not even an installer or anything for you, but
you wouldn't have. It wouldn't have made any difference, mate. It was just an eye opener. Yes, I'm IGL, but in terms of the knowledge you walk away with, in terms of just coatings in general, like, wow, it gives you, I guess, ammunition to say, well, this is why your white label Chinese coating is not going to work,
Yep.
and this is solvent free. That's 40% solvent, all that sort of stuff. And just, but anyway, no, but if you ever want him on, he'd be an interesting guy to talk to. And Bruce Morrison from Maguire's, if you're listening, get on here and give us your take on the retail side of things.
Yeah, that
the
was
enthusiast.
That's exactly there. I want to aim for some more of them sort of everyday companies, because we do have some enthusiasts that do listen. It's not all professionals, but that's definitely another one to look into. So, but the graphene side of things, I was hearing some pieces from SEMA and stuff on YouTube. It's like it's still there, but it just hasn't sort of taken off. Like ceramic coating has taken off, and then adding the graphene, and that sort of just hasn't been taking off as well. But it's still there, and it might possibly work. So I don't know. I haven't looked too far into it, but people are still using it. So
and I think more companies are jumping on board. But that's another conversation, because it's quite involved.
Exactly.
But it's you just wonder where we're going to be in 10 years' time with coatings and PPF and stuff like that. Like,
it's never ending.
You just maybe the manufacturers will come out with a paint that just cannot be scratched, cannot be dented, cannot be anything. And we'll all be out of business. Yeah. You don't know, but until then, like, there's definitely a need for ceramic coatings in the market. That's for sure.
Yep.
And PPF and stuff like that. But
that market's huge too. So that's getting popular every day. Everyone's on board with it or trying to get their head around it. It's not the easiest stuff to play with. So
no, I'll stay in my sandbox with that one, mate. I'm not going near it. That's something you've got to do for years and years and years to be very good at it. You can't just pick it up and then start advertising, one day and then go, I'm a PPF expert. I can still remember trying to put like PPF on my tail lights on the van one day. I bought a 1 meter roll and I used all of it trying to do two tail lights. And in the end, I ripped it off because it looked absolutely terrible. I was like, how do people do this, And even my van's been, I've got a 3/4 wrap on my van, and I had to take that back a few times because it kept bubbling. They just couldn't get it right because of the false windows.
Yep.
It's like an eye load, and
trying to get it to lay down into the
into the creases, and they were really good. I was so happy with the job, but it just kept bubbling in places, and there was just not enough heat in the end. But I just look at. I've watched people do PPF, and I go, I have not got the patience for that. And it's big investment too. So if you do it properly, big time. So
it is.
But no, I take my hat off to anyone that can do it.
No, it's
Yeah.
very interesting game, that's for sure. So it's fun,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I don't mind it. I feel like I'm getting better at it, but yeah, you got to do it more consistently to be good at it, and day in, day out. So I'm not doing it that often to be awesome, but it's I do surprise myself sometimes, believe it or not. So, but yeah, some days are a headache. So that's for sure. It's not all like that. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely take my hat off to you, and the the detailer who on your podcast who loves interiors.
yeah,
I take my hat off to that bloke. I'll tell
yeah.
you. Yeah, he's got a massive name too for being like the best interior detailer. Yeah, everyone knows him.
Mm.
Yeah,
Good bloke
and the
too,
guy.
Ash.
Yeah, Ash. That's right. And the guy that does boats as well. Like
Yeah.
I've had a few people ring me and go, oh, my boat's in the marina. Can you come and buff it? And I'm like, yeah, nah, no, I'm not hanging over your boat with an electrical cord. And if I don't zap myself and then I'm fall in, there's a nice tiger shark waiting for me in the marina.
Especially up
Yeah,
there.
nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's riddled with them up here, and yeah, you wouldn't catch me doing that.
Life or death,
Yeah,
that job.
yeah, you'd want to charge a bit, have some pretty good insurance there.
Oh, very good. So,
Yeah,
all right, Sid, we'll wrap it up, and thanks for everyone for listening, and thanks for making the time and effort. Sid, it was good.
yeah, no worries,
Chat, mate.
Dale, I appreciate it, and yeah, we'll listen to the next one, mate. Thank you very much.
Bloody oath. All right, thanks everyone, and we'll chat soon. Cheers.
That was another episode of the Detailing Down Under podcast. Subscribe now for everything auto detailing in Australia.